Yo, okay. Um, so this is my first video in about a year. So, yeah, obviously the previous update video I made about Japanese on this channel, I was intending to sort of make another update at the end of the summer, so about 3 months later, covering how that summer went. But here we are. It's been about a year, and I have not posted any sort of update. So I'm gonna quickly kind of go over some of the stuff from that last video to sort of catch up to current day, and then yeah, I'm going to talk a bit about the coming year. So I've got some cool things planned for the coming year, but let me just cover those updates about Japanese from the last video. So I'll try and keep it kind of quick. My plan for the summer was to do about 4 hours of immersion a day, so whether that be reading, listening, watching shows, whatever, and then keep on doing sort of Anki consistently throughout that time. I did pretty good. It ended up being closer to, I think, like 3 hours per day average. I had a couple of weeks where I kind of burned out and didn't really do much Japanese at all, but outside of that, it was pretty successful. Definitely like made a lot of progress pretty quickly compared to usual. And since the end of that summer, well, I had school, so my hours went down pretty significantly. But outside of that, in school, I was taking Japanese in both semesters, and got to meet some Japanese people at the school and make friends and stuff that way. So I've gotten some like speaking practice and stuff like that. So yeah, I've made like quite a bit of progress since then. I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, so that's kind of again, like, that's a really short version, but maybe I'll talk a little bit more about how that summer went another time. But I kind of want to jump into the focus of this video, which is the coming year and what my plans and goals and everything are. So yeah, I guess like the main thing that's changed is over the last year I got interested in programming and in particular web development, and decided to basically take this year away from university and focus on studying that. So that's my main focus for the coming year, is learning web development, learning those technologies and stuff, and then um, if all goes well, getting a job in that. So if it goes well and I get a job, then I'm gonna basically quit uni for the time being at least, and just work. Um, and depending on how it goes, maybe I'll go back to uni or come out with some different plan for the coming year afterwards. But yeah, as of right now, that's kind of the plan. So part of what I'm doing towards that, obviously, right now, it's just the end of May. I'm looking for some part-time work so I can afford to get through the year. And yeah, looking for something that's hopefully a good balance, that's not going to be like so much time and energy committed to that job that I can't like put the focus and energy I need into the main things I'm focusing on my own. So that's something I'm working towards right now. In addition to that, obviously I'm programming and I'm still keeping up my Japanese. So I want to cover a little bit about kind of my plans with regards to each of those. So with regards to Japanese, since that's kind of what the focus of my previous video was, we talked about kind of what happened since then. I've been starting to do more Japanese again. Towards the end of this last year, I wasn't doing like really any during school. I kind of felt too busy to keep up with it, or just kind of lost the habit a little bit. I kept up with my flashcards in Anki, but that was about it. So now I'm doing my flashcards. I've started, actually I've pretty well finished the N2 and N1 grammar flashcards, that the Nihongo Kyoshi ones that I think is Metamayaki, that they posted on the Moeway server. Thanks to them and whoever, I think it was DJT where it originally came from. Yeah, for making that. That was cool. I kind of just blasted through that, suspended any cards that I already knew. and I pretty well finished that today actually. So that's sort of grammar that I was working on, and then other than that, yeah. So I've been basically my goal for the time being is in the beginning of July, so in a month basically from now, I'm going to be taking the Japanese language proficiency test at the N1 level. So my goal is obviously to pass that and hopefully do pretty well. We'll see how that goes. So as of right now, I'm just trying to like keep up a decent amount of input. So I've been reading like Steins Gate, the visual novel. I've been like dabbling in a couple of other visual novels, and watching YouTube and stuff like that in Japanese. So that's been my main focus, and then keeping up with my flashcards basically. So as of right now, that's my goal. Overall for the coming year, I don't really have like a set, like I want to be here, I want to be doing this by the end of the year kind of thing. But I do intend to sort of keep having little goals like this JLPT test, where I have like a few months leading up to it, and I can kind of like do a little, have something that I'm working towards instead of just generally being like, I'm just trying to improve, just very vaguely. So one thing I'm thinking about is there's like a local Japanese speech contest, and I watched the sort of national final for that for the previous year and was kind of interested. I've done some public speaking before and enjoyed that, and obviously enjoy Japanese, so I think it'd be cool to sort of put the two together. And I feel like I could do pretty well. So yeah, I'm thinking about potentially doing that, but that's still like ways in the future for now. Yeah, what else? So yeah, that's kind of Japanese for now. I don't really have like a set, like I'm doing this many hours of this per day exactly. I do want to get to a point where I'm doing that, but right now it kind of just feels like I'm trying to figure out how much programming I'm doing per day, and I'm obviously trying to find a job, and then once I find that job, depending on how many hours I'm doing, and whether it's sort of like 4 hours a day, 5 days a week sort of deal, or if it's like a few 8-hour shifts here and there, that'll change sort of how I go about that. So as of right now, it's a little up in the air. I'm just trying to sort of fill in my extra time with some Japanese, so that's been better than what I was doing before because I wasn't really doing anything. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with Japanese right now. And yeah, so like main thing obviously being my programming goals, which as of right now look like, yeah, so I'm kind of taking things like one bit at a time. It is just the end of the month. I'm recording this literally on the 31st of May. And so what I've kind of been focusing on for the past month is learning basically like HTML, CSS, just like getting kind of comfortable building out a web page, and then obviously learning like basic JavaScript. So this is my first time ever programming really at all. So JavaScript is my first language. So I'm learning not just sort of JavaScript stuff, but also just the fundamentals of programming, kind of all in one. So that's what I've been focused on. My plan, I've gotten a decent ways in that. I've been using Free Code Camp, this website, to learn those, just their like, responsive web design certification and their JavaScript data structures and algorithms, I think is what it's called. Those two I've been focused on. I did a little bit of the Odin project before, but those have been my main two up until now, and I'm just finishing those, just about done, both of them at the end of the month. So my plan for the next month is to kind of try and focus on sort of putting the two together, if that makes sense. Starting to implement some pure JavaScript with the HTML and CSS, getting used to the DOM and stuff like that. And that's my plan for the next month. And then hopefully by the end of the month after that. So after 3 months total, my hope is to have at least one sort of somewhat significant project where I'm using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and using them to create some sort of somewhat significant project. Hopefully not something that's going to like take me forever to get done. Again, I want to get it done by the end of 3 months, but something that's like, hey, I could, put this on a resume. So that's kind of my goal for the time being. From there, it's still a little up in the air for me, but I'm pretty confident I'm gonna go ahead and learn React at a certain point. Yeah, that's pretty well all that I know, kind of for certain. And I do want to dabble a little bit in sort of back-end stuff. I'm not sure how much I'll do there. I just want to get a feel for kind of what that's like. And if I'm like, whoa, this is way better, I don't have to, suffer with CSS or anything anymore. Maybe I'll just switch right over to that. But as of right now, that's not exactly the plan. Yeah, so that's kind of roughly what my plan is for the time being. Yeah, I'm going to try and not make this super long. Yeah, other than that, like, just I have plans to sort of keep making videos like these in the future. Obviously, we'll see how that works out. I did say I was going to make a video 3 months after my first one, and it's been a year, so who knows? But I do kind of want to start making videos on a regular basis, once every week, once every other week, and they'll be shorter, and like some of them will be sort of update videos. Here's where I'm at with programming, here's what I'm doing with Japanese. Some of them I think I'll just sort of take a topic that's on my mind or that interests me and just sort of share my thoughts about that generally. Yeah, because every now and then I have like things that pop in my head and I'm like, oh, this would be like something interesting to talk about, and just talk about it for 5-10 minutes or whatever and get my thoughts out there. Yeah, I think that'd be cool to just like have some outlet to like talk about my thoughts about things and where I'm at as well with my goals and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of what this is, the first of those. Hopefully there's more to come. If not, whatever. We'll see. Yeah, thanks if you watched. Have a good one.